The True Life reports in the Watchtower magazine on pursuing my purpose in life have been thrilling and heartwarming, stirring us to follow such examples of faith and integrity. Tonight, it is our privilege to hear some of these reports firsthand. Brother Hazlitt, who has himself pursued his purpose in life in the full-time service for almost 38 years, now introduces some of your brothers and sisters to tell you we pursued our purpose in life.
From school days, inequalities and injustices had caused me to worry and wonder about the purpose of life. In September 1916, with a friend, it was my privilege to see the photodrama of creation, also to hear a lecture by Pastor Russell. From the photodrama in Brother Russell's lecture, it seemed like every question concerning the purpose of human existence, and especially why injustices, evil, and wars were permitted, was answered. Deeply impressed that the 1,000-year reign of Christ was God's will, my friend and I quickly decided we must acknowledge the divine author and be baptized. But then we were terribly shocked to hear of the death of Brother Russell. On the day we had hoped to be baptized, funeral services for Brother Russell were held. However, in December 1916, we were baptized. Soon my friend engaged in the pastoral work, loaning out the 6 volumes of studies in the Scriptures. And in 1917, I entered temporary service at Bethel. Brother Russell's death had seemed a great calamity, but soon came rebellion by former members against the Watchtower Society. Then began persecution from outside, with the 7 directors of the society being sent to prison for 80 years each. Those were indeed dark days. My friend and I thought the end had come, for just when we began to learn about the divine will and purpose, it seemed like the bottom of everything dropped out. Then came persecution for circulating the finished mystery, in which we shared a little. However, we continued to do what we could, spreading the kingdom message and getting signatures to petitions for the release from prison of our brothers. In early 1919 came the return of the Society's directors from Atlanta, and then the first Cedar Point Convention. This was a wonderfully happy time. Yet the second Cedar Point Convention in 1922 was really tremendous. There, for the first time, God's presence in His holy temple in heaven was understood as having taken place in 1918, and therefore the great necessity of advertising the King and His kingdom was appreciated. While this happened some 36 years ago, it is still vivid in our minds. It seemed like an outpouring of the Lord's Spirit for the accomplishment of His purpose. Indeed, later events prove this to have been so. By this time, my friend had served as a colporteur and I at the Bethel. Then we had married in 1920, necessitating my leaving Bethel. After the second Cedar Point Convention, we colporteured until again entering Bethel. Then came 10 years of interesting, exciting times. At Bethel, we were privileged to watch and share in the beginning of the Society's printing activity and the development of house-to-house witnessing. Formerly, only colporteurs went from house to house, but soon all Bible students were engaging in house-to-house preaching. Then came radio, WBBR, and from that one station broadcasting the Lord's message of truth, there ensued the large radio hookups by Brother Rutherford. This caused greater preaching activity and enlarged printing facilities. So from a basement one-press affair, we saw the Watchtower Society's own large printing plants emerge. The year 1931 brought the greatest development of all, the receiving by the Lord's faithful servants on earth of the new name, Jehovah's Witnesses. Despite criticism and even persecution, the result was far greater activity by those appreciating the name of Jehovah. About that time, our assignment at Bethel was changed to pioneering. So in a trailer, we enjoyed many privileges in New York, Georgia, and Tennessee. In 1934 came an assignment to Hawaii, where we shared in the start of the organized witnessing there. 2, then began lasting friendship with our Hawaiian brothers and sisters, many of whom are at this Divine Will Assembly. After 14 years' service in Hawaii came an invitation to the Watchtower School of Gilead. Until 1948, we had been privileged to be in Jehovah's service for a number of years and had enjoyed them all. However, Gilead became the cream of our experience. After Gilead, we were assigned to Japan, and with missionaries from Hawaii, New Zealand, Australia, and other countries, we have intensely enjoyed sharing in the beginning and development of the witness work in Japan. Thanks to Jehovah's loving kindnesses, we are here at this great assembly and looking forward with joyful anticipation to again returning to our much appreciated assignment in Japan. And now, Sister Rosa Mae Dreyer from Mexico, how did you pursue your purpose in life?
In the spring of 1936, after reading the article in the Golden Age, Serving God or Mammon, I decided to change my occupation from that of teaching school to pioneering. I began pursuing my purpose in life in St. Joseph, Missouri, with 3 other pioneers. We 4 worked joyfully together for 7 months in business territory in 9 southern cities. I cherish the memory of those daily pioneer experiences, which were so much in contrast with schoolroom experiences. At the end of 9 months, my 3 companions stopped pioneering. In September of 37, I went to the convention in Columbus, Ohio, hoping to find another partner. That I did, Shirley Hendrickson. Shirley and I were soon sent as special pioneers to Waterbury, Connecticut. From there, we went from one special assignment to another, from New England to the West Coast and south to Texas. Every assignment brought new joys with new experiences. We were in Texas when our invitation came for Gilead's first class. 5 months at Gilead came and went like a nice dream of things in the new world. Mexico City, Mexico was our foreign assignment. There we've been for 13 years, happy years, fruitful years. We've seen the organization grow there in the city from 175 to over 2,200 publishers. Maybe some of you are wondering just how I've been able to keep on for 22 years in the pioneer work. Well, it's like this. Every day for 22 years I prayed, Jehovah, help me to know and to do your will. I've stuck close to Jehovah's organization and accepted every assignment given me. Through this organization, Jehovah has always provided bountifully for all my material and spiritual needs. Jehovah keeps indicating that full-time service is his will for me. So, in it, I'm determined to keep on pursuing my purpose in life.
Next, Brother George Gertz from Switzerland. How did you pursue your purpose in life?
When I learned the truth from my mother in 1913 as a boy of 13 years, I had no such purpose in life. But as the time of the nations drew to a close and World War I broke out, a longing stirred in me to heed the call, enter full-time service. In June 1923, I was then 22 years old, I gave up my assured position as civil servant, left my home in Germany, and entered full-time service. I was assigned to Austria, where the society had just opened an office in Vienna. The inflation had made financial savings worthless, and I remember that my sole capital on entering full-time service amounted to the staggering sum of $3, and my supply of clothing was meager. However, I had a fortune that was to bring in a high interest over the years, interest which could not be touched by the taxation people. In fact, my capital has increased. It was and is faith in Jehovah. The interest which such capital brings is referred to in Jesus' words, "Keep on seeking first the kingdom, and all these other things will be added to you." Yes, all these will be added to you. And what spiritual and material blessings have been added to me? In 1931, I was then called to the Bern Bethel in Switzerland. Many privileges in various fields of service made glad my heart, and these enriching experiences will ever remain in my memory. In 1947, I received a bumper interest on my capital. I was called to Gilead. This was a very special cure, healing and contributing towards maturity. The English language caused me no little trouble, as you can hear today. Afterwards, I returned to Switzerland as circuit servant till 1953, when I was called back to the Bethel, where I still serve. 35 years, more than half of my life, I have been able, by Jehovah's undeserved kindness, to spend in full-time service, and I hope that I may remain herein forever. The full-time service, with its often rigorous requirements, is the most precious and rewarding profession that anyone can take up. The earlier, the better. Therefore, my dear young brothers and sisters especially, do not let yourselves be blinded by the glitter of this passing world, but remember your Creator in the days of your youth and take up full-time service.
And now, Sister Hazel Burford from Panama, how did you pursue your purpose in life?
I have pursued my purpose in life, Brother Hazlitt, by being, as Isaiah describes Jehovah's servant, blind and deaf to everything that might distract me from full-time service. From the time I made my dedication, I knew that only such service would fulfill my vow. But there was school to finish and a living to make, as pioneers were not permitted to do secular work in those days, and there was no such thing as vacation pioneering. I graduated from nursing school at the depths of the Depression, and finally, after several months, secured an excellent job. While thousands tramped the streets searching for work, I was secure. The 1931 International Assembly was announced, but I couldn't go, as no one in the doctor's office had vacations during the busy summer. My security was really slavery to old world interests. I resolved to quit my job, attend the assembly, and then pioneer. Most everyone was horrified. You can do your part by giving money and let those who don't have a job go pioneering. But why should I drink the skim milk of the service and let others enjoy the cream of full-time ministry? July 1st, 1931, I began pursuing my purpose in life as Christ's freedman. From the Depression period of the 30s, we passed into the persecution period of the 40s and the exciting special pioneer work. Called to Gilead for the second class, I feasted for those 5 intensely happy months on the finest instruction available on this globe without 1 cent of cost to me. The only way to thank Jehovah was to go back into the field and use that knowledge to feed his sheep and sing praises to his name. As 1945 drew to its close, I am playing for Panama, traveling at the Society's expense on a one-way ticket. There I've had a small part in helping to increase Jehovah's praisers. I've seen missionary homes and a branch office established. And last January, I heard Brother Henschel dedicate the Society's own building in Panama City to house the branch office and one of the missionary homes. I am privileged to be one of those living in that home. There's real satisfaction in pursuing one's purpose in life, a sense of accomplishment, peace of mind at having Jehovah's approval, security, companionship with trusted members of our New World family. It's a challenge to our faith and profession of being Christians, but in Jehovah's strength, we can meet it.
Brother Spiropoulos from Egypt, how did you pursue your purpose in life?
In 1934, I started pursuing my purpose in my life in full-time service as a pioneer, far away from my parents and relatives, in a strange land without knowing the strange for me languages. In that time, it was difficult for one to be a pioneer because we had to live only from placements of the literature. By Jehovah's undeserved kindness, I continue, in spite of the many difficulties, in the full-time service without failing short in the necessary things. My experiences in the field service during all those years are different, with different kinds of people, races, costumes, languages, and religions in the literal land of Egypt. In 1947, Brother Noor with Brother Henschel came in Egypt, and for the first time a branch office was established, and I had the opportunity and the privilege to be the first branch servant. My desire was to go to Gilead, but I felt it was very difficult because I did not know well the English language, besides my being 40 years old. I did my best to learn the language, and I succeeded sufficiently well. In the beginning of 1953, Brother Noor visited Egypt. When he gave a talk to the brothers, I told to him that I will translate the talk. Brother Noor was astonished because he knew that my English was very poor. After that, I asked from Brother Noor if he could invite me to go to Gilead, and this was granted to me. And so, in 1953, I had the privilege, with many difficulties, the last moment to follow from the first day the assembly, and after that to enroll in the 22nd class of Gilead. After I finished the school of Gilead, my assignment was to go back to Egypt and to work there as a missionary. Till now, I continue in this assignment, better equipped than ever before in the 24 years in the full-time service, and by Jehovah's grace, in the age of 50, in every month, I keep the missionary requirements in hours and placements, having 18 book studies in 4 different languages. Really, I enjoy the wonderful privilege and the undeserved kindness of Jehovah God to serve him in the full-time service. I wish to everyone to have the same joy as I have, to enjoy the full-time service, and especially to admonish the young ones to push their purpose in life as worshippers of Jehovah God in the full-time service now before Armageddon.
And now, Sister Elsie Voigt from Austria, how did you pursue your purpose in life?
I was only 13 years old when I was baptized. I had left a Catholic convent 6 months before, and now my young heart was filled with the desire to serve Jehovah every day of my life. But I had still to go to school for several years, and I was 19 when I had the privilege of entering my full-time service. That was 30 years ago, and every day of it I thank Jehovah for his loving kindness. The first 5 years were normal and peaceful. Then came the band, and we worked underground. After 3 years, I went with my husband to the battle in Bern, then to France. We had no papers, and the society arranged for us, shortly before the war broke out, to go to London, where we received much kindness. Pioneer work and service in the battle filled the time till spring 1942, when we were interned. 6 months before the war ended, we were released, and at once continued our full-time service as special pioneers. Soon we were called to do work of national importance. The offer was a well-paid job or prison. Just when the prison doors were very near again, the war ended. How great was our joy when for the first time after the war, Brother Noah came to England again. And for my husband and myself, he brought the happiest time of our lives. As the first students from Europe, we sailed for 17 days on a little Liberty ship to the 7th class in Gilead. It was wonderful, and only too soon came our graduation day in summer 1946. After Cleveland Convention and 3 very happy months here in Brooklyn Battle, I had the privilege of accompanying my husband in the circuit work in London. From there we went after half a year to Vienna, which was badly damaged and surrounded and also partly occupied by the Russians. Very little food and no clothing or other necessary things could be bought. The work was not easy in those days, and often we had reason to thank Jehovah for his protection and his blessing, bringing an increase of 72% publishers in that year and 71% the following year. Thinking back, I really do not know how to express my appreciation for the joy and privileges in my assignment in Austria. Yes, it is now exactly 12 years since I left Gilead and 30 years since I began my full-time service. But still my heart is filled with the desire to serve Jehovah every day of my life.
And now, Sister Melba Barry from Japan, how did you pursue your purpose in life?
I began pursuing my purpose in life full-time in 1939. That was in Australia. Some people told me when I applied for pioneer service, my health would not hold out for more than 2 or 3 months. That was just 19 years ago, and I'm going stronger than ever. In January 1941, a ban was placed on the work, and we were scattered around working underground. This meant moving here and there so the work could keep going without police interference. During this time, I married. With the special pioneer work opening up in Australia, we were among the first to be assigned. Where to? A tough, religious country town. Not being permitted to use literature from house to house, we were forced to use just the Bible only. This was a test too. No schooling in Bible sermons then. Many Bibles were placed, and oftentimes receiving food in return. We just lived from day to day. This also being wartime made it no easier, but we didn't want it any other way. Jehovah always provided. After about 6 months, we were called to Bethel, where we served until further privileges were granted us in the circuit work in 1947. The President's visit to Australia also brought us the opportunity for Gilead. Word came to attend the 11th class. In January 1948, off to Gilead. Our foreign assignment was Japan, where we went in October 1949. To begin with, our new home in Kobe was barren of furniture and beds. The house was plenty big enough, but what would we sleep on? The grass around the house was 6 foot high, so we cut it down, put it on the floor. That's how we slept for 3 weeks, on grass. There were no brothers or sisters in this big city of 1 million people, but we began reading a Japanese sentence or two to the householder. What the householder said was beyond our understanding. We placed much literature, and with our limited Japanese, made back calls. 2 women I contacted that first day I began studying with, and they became dedicated sisters. During 3 years in Kobe, many and varied were our experiences, including a typhoon which almost blew the house down and a strong earthquake. But in August 1952, I moved to Tokyo, continuing as a missionary. This is where I'm still serving, altogether just on 9 years now in Japan. There is a lot of work to do yet in this city as large as New York, close on 9 million people, and only 5 congregations with about 220 publishers. How about it, you young ones? Start now to pursue your purpose in life and taste of the good things Jehovah has in store for you.
Our brothers and sisters from different lands have told of pursuing their purpose in life. But how about you young brothers and sisters at this great assembly? Are you pursuing your purpose in life? We are living in a time of great crisis, and upon decisions made now, all persons' lives depend. Upon your own personal decision rests the question not only of your present life, but also your hope of receiving protection through the coming war of Armageddon and of entering the new world of everlasting peace. Joel 3:14 is a prophecy written for these last days. It reads, multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision. And verse 16 reads, but Jehovah will be a refuge unto his people. Are you hoping to enter Jehovah's refuge during the terrible destruction of Armageddon? What have you done that will cause the Almighty God, Jehovah, to remember you individually during the great war? Are you remembering the Creator now in the days of your youth? Or are you putting it off until later, until you have perhaps satisfied some personal desire? If we do not remember our Creator, Jehovah, how can we expect to be remembered by Jehovah to receive his protection during Armageddon? Now is the great, important time of decision. Are only young people involved in this time of decision? No. Joel's prophecy reads, multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision. Therefore, young people, old people, in fact, every living person now has a vitally important decision to make. Do you individually acknowledge Jehovah, the God in truth, the living God? If you answer yes, in what way are you right now acknowledging the God of all creation? Perhaps like Isaiah of old, you are willing to say, here am I, O Lord, send me. But do you add mentally, O Lord, please wait a little while until I make some more money, or until I get a better car, or until some other personal matter is achieved? Can your decision and your service to Jehovah wait? Will the battle of Armageddon be put off according to your personal desires and preparations? Certainly it will not. Jehovah God determines his own times and seasons for fulfilling his divine will. We receive life and everything we possess from Jehovah, so we must acknowledge him, fully, entirely, and willingly cooperating with God's divine will. All at this great assembly learned of the divine will and purpose through the personal effort and work of some other person. Whether you read a magazine or heard a lecture about the Bible, it was through some other person's service to Jehovah that you had the opportunity of learning, wasn't it? Therefore, each one who has heard of the truth owes it to some other person to acquaint them with the knowledge of Jehovah and his divine will. Like Noah and his sons, we have to quickly warn the nations of the approaching great war of Armageddon. People living in European countries, Canada, America, and other countries have long possessed Bibles, and through the calls of Jehovah's Witnesses have had many opportunities to become acquainted with the divine will. But millions of persons living in countries throughout the earth have never seen the Bible. How are they going to hear of the divine will before the Battle of Armageddon? Their opportunity can come only the same way as yours did, through the personal efforts of another person. Are you willing to help peoples of countries not having the Bible and consequently never having heard of the existence or purpose of Jehovah to get an opportunity to learn how they may be privileged to live in the new world? Many of you will answer yes, and will want to know how you can share in this life-giving work. Under the auspices of the Watchtower Society, Pioneer Service opens the way for full-time service with a later prospect of attending Gilead and of becoming a missionary in a foreign land whose people have yet to hear of Jehovah and his divine will. In many lands like Japan, people offer sacrifice and prayers to many gods through idols to pacify them and to keep away bad luck and disasters. However, among the teeming millions of Japan and other countries, there are undoubtedly many, many persons of goodwill. Their only hope of learning of the existence of Jehovah God and of his divine will rests with you. Therefore, the need is great for willing brothers and sisters to go to foreign countries and quickly inform the people of the existence and purpose of Jehovah God. Missionaries going to foreign lands after Gilead have wonderful prospects of service. Then, too, after learning the language of the country, brothers have the prospect of increased privileges of service by becoming circuit and district servants, and also of serving in the Watchtower Society's foreign branch offices. Now the harvest is great, and the workers in foreign lands are few. In Japan, we have only about 1,200 witnesses distributed among a population of 90 million persons. Consequently, many more witnesses are urgently needed. So, while we pray to the Lord of the harvest for more workers, what are we personally doing about it now? And what are we going to do about it? Are all of you going to fulfill your purpose in life